bacteria, it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. It's on your skin. It's on your desk. It's in the coffee cup. It's even in the Packard Pokes At coffee cup here, which there's, it's got bacteria on there. Even if you just washed it, it's still got bacteria on it. And the thing is, because people have been, for the last couple of years, they go, well, bacteria's everywhere. So we've got to kill it. We got to kill it. So they make all this antibacterial soaps and whatnot. And that was actually the stupidest thing we've ever actually done, because this bacteria is becoming resistant. Even stuff that was so treatable just 10, 15 years ago, like gonorrhea or, that's a virus and a disease actually, but these viruses and diseases and the bacteria that we were able to treat 10 years ago or more, now it's becoming even harder to treat because of all this antibacterial stuff. And the HMO, or the World Health Organization, the WHO, no, not the doctor, who? We're basically in a post-antibiotic era, which people are basically dying from simple infections that have been treatable for decades. And this has been a major problem. And what are we going to be able to do? Because if we just create a stronger antibacterial treatments or whatever, the bacteria evolves. And people who say evolution doesn't happen, well, you know what? This is a good example of evolution in progress. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, this article is more about the overuse of antibiotics over the past several decades than so much the hand soap, but still it's causing...
just a symptom of what I was just,
Right. No, but the hand soaps definitely were, I think they play part of it. But what's happening is it's breeding antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And like you mentioned, the article talks about how we could be facing a post-antibiotic era. And while that's hard to imagine, I think humanity will survive that. As a species, we've only had antibiotics for the last 100 years, and we made it up until then without them. Yeah. What is unfortunate is diseases that we thought we conquered are now going to come back. Yeah. And so we've lost some of our progress. And we've all seen and done our small part to help bring this about. I'm guilty of not finishing a run of antibiotics here and there because the symptoms went away, but the pills were upsetting my stomach, so I made a comfort trade-off, But, I'm not supposed to do that, but a lot of people do that.
Right. I've been guilty of that myself.
Yeah. I used to work with handicapped people, and I've seen doctors prescribe antibiotics for people who had coughs or running noses. Colds are caused by viruses, not bacteria. And the doctors knew that, but they prescribed the drugs anyway because people want an answer. They don't want to hear, well, we don't have a cure for the common cold yet, so let it run its course. So, they just write the script, people go home, they take the antibiotics they don't need, and guess what? They're breeding antibiotic-resistant bacteria in their own bodies because of this.
Penicillin was a big one where they would just like, oh, well, you just need a penicillin shot. Penicillin, take this for penicillin for that. It's the same thing. A while back, the doctors would just say, oh, we'll just give you a penicillin shot and you'll be okay. And then it doesn't really do anything except, make the doctors a little extra cash.
Right. They get to charge the copay.
Right.
But I heard about this on the BBC recently, and there are people working on this problem. They are trying to develop new antibiotics that will work. But scientists are also hatching up new ideas like genetic sequencing of bacteria so they can create treatments faster than the bacteria can become resistant to. And they're also trying to find ways to disrupt the bacteria internal sequencing to render them non-infectious. So go science, research, hope, future.
Yeah, I think the best way we should do it is to let our bodies take care of this stuff naturally. This is what, to a point. We need help when we need it. But
but
if you don't need
still get syphilis.
Right? Yeah. Don't get syphilis. But if you were to get syphilis or something, go see the doctor. But I'm talking like the general bacteria that's like around us. And someone in the chat room just said, need to eat more dirt. And it's I understand the sentiment there. It's just the fact is, we just need to take care of if we don't over antibacterialize stuff and we just let our bodies heal naturally for little things like the common cold, for example, or if someone gets a fever or whatever, just do common sense stuff.
Antibiotics won't help a cold no matter what.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Connie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Around 1900, the number one killer, the number three, the top three things were infectious things. There was pneumonia, influenza, TB, and gastrointestinal infections. And that's really very shocking. And bacteria is one of the first life forms to appear on Earth. They're so successful. When you talk about evolution, this is one of the kings of this whole thing. So, and what's bad is that, again, it's people have been self-administering. I have people that I know, one of them, one I'm related to, they would go to Mexico and they'd buy penicillin and they would just administer it to themselves. They'd come home and they'd have these vials of this stuff, or maybe the failure of a professional to prescribe the correct dosage based on the weight and the history of the person that they're treating.
Right.
The dosage wasn't even right, and so I'm so glad now that I had a really wise family doctor for a long time. He told me, he said, look, you look at the mucus if your child is sick, and if the mucus is green or yellow, then bring them in because they might have an infection. And he was not big on overprescribing this stuff and letting the body fight these things off themselves. So Joe, when you were talking about they were working on trying to break down the bacteria, trying to find some way to break it down, I found a part of an article saying that there was something called an efflux inhibitor, taking it from the cell and trying to make the bacterial cells become susceptible to antibacterials. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
That sounds really cool. What I read about what they were, because I was trying to be like awesome like Connie and read other articles besides the one we're talking about, and I didn't read anything in depth that much, but I do know that they're using some kind of technique where they're trying to get inside the bacteria and try and figure out new ways to make them either susceptible to existing antibiotics or just make them non-toxic altogether.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to understand what I was reading.
Yeah.
Right.
I read the page at least once, and I just like, what?
Right. I mean, they're getting to the point now where they can manipulate the DNA of things, and if they go into the DNA of bacteria and just say, hey, stop being a dick. You are now under the commandment of don't be a dick. And it goes out there and intermingles with other bacteria. Like, all right, hey, guess what? We're not going to give people runny noses anymore.
That would be kind of cool.
It will no longer burn when he pees.
That in itself could be a problem because that's usually a symptom of something else, So this way, if we don't have those symptoms,
it's like, okay, no more symptoms. Got it.
No more symptoms. Just kill them all.
Joe just was walking down the street, just keeled over. What happened? Well, apparently he had a bad cold. Well, apparently, maybe he must not have known because there's no symptoms.
Well, we've got to do something about it because the other thing I read is that the bacteria on Earth is like 5 times 10 to the 30th power. Bacteria forms a biomass that exceeds all other plants and animals on Earth. So
wow,
they outnumber us. Shh, don't tell them.
They're trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us.
I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson recently on some show I was listening to him too. He said that this planet actually belongs to the microbes and we just happen to share it with them.
Yes. We're the parasites actually on this planet compared to them. We're like
and they've been here longer than us. They're all just like, hey, check these guys out. I'm gonna go with this like runny nose here.
I had that last
week.
week.
To the fun parts, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.